Geekazine and Geek Smack is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Jeffrey Powers here, and welcome to another Geekish Schmackish shows, the Geek Smack Show, and it's brought to you today by our friends over at Roku. Stop dreaming, start streaming. Go over to geekazine.com/Roku to find out how you can get yourself a device for $49. Mosey Pro, find out how you can save yourself 15% for your small business. Webcasting software through Wirecast. Produce live webcasts now by going over to Wirecast PC for your PC or geekazine.com/Wirecast Mac for your Mac. And of course, you can get the audio version over on Stitcher, internet radio for your smartphone, going over to stitcher.com/geek. You could win yourself $100. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get into your Geek Smack for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like we would a Star Wars flash mob. Did you like that video? If you were listening to the audio, you didn't hear anything. You probably heard the intro, but we played a little video over on the video end, something that I recorded during the holiday season. Happy holidays, by the way. I hope your holiday season, whether it be Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or Boxing Day, or whatever, was a great day, great week. And of course, we only have less than a handful of days left in this year, 2011. We're going to try not to talk too much about the best of and stuff like that. I just don't want to do that. But anyway, if this is the first time you've come to the show, thanks a lot for coming to this show. We do this show every Tuesday for Wednesday consumption. We got a lot of great tech news, a lot of great geek news, and a lot more. You can get me on Twitter over at Geekazine as it disappeared, or you can email me, geekazine@gmail.com. We do have the hotline at 608-205-4378. And of course, a lot more. You can check it out over at geekazine.com. Subscribe to the show notes. Of course, it'll show up into your inbox every single week, so that's a pretty cool thing. Here we are in the last week, and ladies and gentlemen, I've had a very interesting Christmas. I told you last week that the truck died. Got it into the shop, and they took an extensive look at it, why it was draining power. They found out that underneath the fuse box of this, it's a Chevy Trailblazer. Underneath the fuse box, apparently a mouse or some sort of rodent decided to set up shop there. They found a nest, and they found a whole bunch of stuff, and it kind of got into the fuse box, which kind of melted some of the fuses and stuff like that. So I'm waiting on insurance. I'm waiting on where I'm going to stand with the truck. I can't drive it right now because if I was to drive it, he took it apart, put it back together. It's a fire hazard. I could be driving down the road and all of a sudden it could burst into flames. So, and by me telling you that, I couldn't actually do that and have it burst into flames. So I guess I'm going to have to figure out how to get it fixed with the limited means I have. So if you want to donate any money to my truck cause, feel free to do so. Of course, you can pal me at geekazine@gmail.com if you want to. Give me a 10. Anyway, I'm just kidding. If you want to, that's fine. But, you don't have to. Anyway. The truck, feeling a lot better, still a little bit wobbly from this inner ear thing, so we'll see what happens there. iPad 365 is ramping up. If you haven't seen the videos yet, I've put out 2 videos. One is about games. The first one is about business applications. We're going to be doing utilities today or tomorrow, and I think that we're not going to do a Friday show. But check it all out. It's over at, yeah, we might be doing something Thursday, but not Friday. Check it out over at geekazine.com/iPad, iPad 365. All right. And of course, CES. So next week, we're going to have a show. The week after, we're going to be at the Consumer Electronics Show. So no show, but we're going to have all that CES stuff over at tpn.tv. tpn.tv. And of course, if you go over to the show notes, you'll see an area where it's like, where it basically says, hey, if you want to donate for CES Action, all the coverage we do, so we can pay for our $6,000 internet access, so we can pay for our airfare and our hotel rooms, and we take care of ourselves without having to let the families go hungry. Go over there and click at it. We have a $25, $50, $100, and your choice. And of course, we're sponsored by GoDaddy, and you can get yourself 25% off of hosting by clicking on the link over at GoDaddy.com. Said enough. Let's get into your Tech Smack for the week.
Tech Smack.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start over at PCMag.com. Samsung is buying Sony's 50% stake in the joint venture LCD. It was called SLCD is the name of the company, and they set it up in 2004, and the reason why they set it up was so they could work together with LCD technologies, not only just laptops and display monitors, but also, you know, your phone displays and any appliance that might have an LCD display on it. Well, about 3 months ago, Sony said that, hey, we're in a $1.2 billion hole we need to dig out of. So they thought about it, and they decided, well, we'll just sell this all over to Samsung. And so they did. They sold it for $939 million, or 1.08 trillion. What was the Korean dollar is called, and I can't think of it right now. Anyway, the whole point is this. 939 million Sony sold off. They're still going to have a relationship together. They're still going to build stuff together, but the most of the stake is going to go from Samsung. So if any third parties come in and say, hey, I need an LCD for this device, then they'll be able to set it up for them. But anyway, if you want to read more on that, go over to PCMag.com. Check this out. This former executive from Microsoft, and this is bad, still over at PCMag.com, he decided in a blog post that he's going to kind of talk a little bit about what happened over at Microsoft and why Windows Phone isn't really doing too well. Charlie Kindle is his name. He's a 21-year veteran of Microsoft, and he was on the Windows Phone development. He was actually the chief developer for the first year of its life, and he basically said that Microsoft kind of upset some of the phone makers and wireless carriers. So they're not too really up on getting a Windows Phone out there. They know they need to do it. We're going to talk about the 50,000 app mark that Windows Phone just hit, but a lot of people are not happy with Windows Phone, apparently. So very interesting read. If you want to check it out, go over to PCMag.com. And of course, all the links that I talk about are found over at Geekazine.com. Go over to www.geekazine.com. If you need that, just Twitter me at Geekazine, and you can find out. And then, of course, if you have any questions or comments on this, let me know. And I'm bouncing again. For some reason, my video just on my camera is doing this little wobbly thing. But anyway, check it out. Twitter me at Geekazine. I probably won't use that shot too much, so... All right, let's continue on here. We're going over to the Mac Observer. iOS 5.0.1 is jailbroken, not just jailbroken, but the untethered version can be jailbroken now. So you can jailbreak your iPhone. I don't have my iPhone jailbroke, and I'm going to tell you something. I don't really condone jailbreaking the iPhone. If there's an absolute need for you to jailbreak your iPhone, then jailbreak your iPhone. But if you don't need to, you shouldn't, because there's too many times that I've heard somebody finding a way to rickroll an iPhone. If you remember that from about a year ago, somebody, a jailbroken iPhone, they found an actual area that they could expose because nobody changes that area, and they ended up bricking certain phones. So if you don't need to brick it, don't brick it, and just leave it as it is. But if you decide to brick it, you can do that. So you can check that out over at the macobserver.com. New website and new article here. We're talking about, once again, Windows Phone Marketplace. I told you there was another article about that. This is called allaboutwindowsphone.com. Allaboutwindowsphone.com. Brand new website. Looks like they're brand new. So if you, once again, if you see any problems, let me know, and I'll change some stuff on there. So anyway, Windows Phone Marketplace passes 50,000 apps, which is really cool. It's around 200 to 250 new applications a day for Windows Phone, and it's getting better and better. At the time that he wrote the article, 50,126 apps were published. And so that's pretty good news for anybody that does have a Windows Phone. You'll get some applications. I wrote an article this weekend, maybe I'll put that in the show notes, an article on some of the applications you can get to stay safe during this New Year's holiday, especially if this is the first year that you've kind of, you're legal to drink. And so you're going to go out partying. There's some good applications you might want to put onto your phone just to make sure that, if you're in a strange place and you don't know how you got there, you can contact somebody. And we're going to talk about the importance of contacting somebody a little bit later on, but you might want to check that out. Anyway, allaboutwindowsphone.com for that article. Our friends over at Chip Chick have a really cool article. It is called the top 10 women who impacted technology in 2011. Yeah, people like Veronica Belmont. We'll go down the list here a little bit. We've got Professor Nancy Echthoff, who's a Harvard assistant clinical professor of psychology. We've got Amanda Parks, CTO of Bodega Algae and a media designer. We got Dr. Karen Bark, mechanical engineer, so on and so forth. We got some great names. If you are a girl or woman, or you want to learn a little bit more about the women of technology, the people, the geeks that are making our geekiness even more geekier, then check it out. This is over, like I said, over at chipchick.com. Incredible things happen every 60 seconds on the internet. At least that's what Business Insider is talking about. They found a graphic here, and it's a pretty cool graphic. I'm going to show you this in a second here. You know how I talked about how the apps, the Windows app phones, about 250 a day? Well, check this out. This is, in 60 seconds, certain things happen. Like, for instance, in 60 seconds, one new definition is loaded into Urban Dictionary. 13,000 hours of music are streamed on Pandora. 6,600 new photos are put into Flickr. 50 new WordPress downloads. They have another part here. 710 computers sold in 60 seconds, 950 purchases on eBay, so on and so forth. You get the idea. But ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty interesting. Probably the only real end of year thing that I'm going to talk about. It's not really end of year either. It's just basically saying what happens in 60 seconds. 700 computers, PCs are purchased online in 60 seconds. 81 iPads are sold every 60 seconds. 925 iPhones are sold every 60 seconds. Interesting stuff. And if you want to check it out, go over to Business Insider and you'll go from there. All right, heading over to Mashable.com, Facebook status update saves a woman and a child in a hostage situation. If you haven't heard about this, this is interesting. Apparently, a Utah woman and son were held captive for 5 days. Somehow she got a computer. Somehow she loaded it up and without the person knowing and putting out a Facebook post saying, if somebody doesn't help us, we're not going to do too well tomorrow. That she basically said we might get killed tomorrow. So apparently, police found out what happened. They came to rescue at the home. I'm assuming she had some sort of location set up on her Facebook profile that showed exactly where her location was. Police showed up and arrested the guy whose name is Troy Reed Critchfield. And he basically, she took her cell phone, not the laptop. My understanding on the article was the laptop, but I guess it was the cell phone, and that basically is what happened. And that's kind of scary, but it came out well. But ladies and gentlemen, this is this type of stuff that you have to worry about, and we have a lot of devices nowadays to make people safe, whether it be a cell phone or a laptop or something like that. And this is a key right here. So if you want to read that more on that, go over to Mashable.com. It's a very, very interesting read. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's the end of your Tech Smack side. We're going to get you over to the Geek Smack side in a second, but first of all, we got to pay some bills. You know, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in business, especially small to medium business, it's important that you have some of the top-notch stuff. You should have the top-notch employees that you can get to get work done so you don't have to worry about it. You should have top-notch contracts with systems, with companies, so you don't have to worry about certain things. This is a top-notch company. It's a company called Mozy Pro. And they do one thing, and they do it well. They back up your systems. They back up your computers, and they back it up often. They back it up off-site. Because, you know, you could have yourself, I thought I had a USB driver on here. You could have everything loaded up on USB drives like I do. And tomorrow that USB drive disappears. Tomorrow that USB drive just doesn't work. I back up multiple times. I back up on-site. I back up off-site. I use Mozy to back up off-site. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. I've backed up all my files, the important files, you know, the Windows folder, you don't need to back up. But in business, I know that if Geekazine goes down, I can pull it from a backup somewhere. I know that if I have a problem finding a video file or an audio file, I can pull it from a backup somewhere. And that's what Mozy Pro is about. Don't get caught with your pants down and find out that you actually have no backup. Because if you're a small to medium business and all of a sudden everything that you have is gone, you've got to start from scratch. Companies can go bankrupt, and it's been proven that companies do go bankrupt. If you have to pay, wait 24 hours or pay thousands of dollars, you might not get back the customers that you just lost simply because of the fact that it's gone. Use Mozy. It's a trusted name in online backup. They back up more data than the entire written works of mankind from the beginning of recorded history in all languages. Now, Mozy Pro backs up your PCs, your Macs, your servers, and it does it for over 70,000 organizations. Some companies you might know, things like Subway, things like Stanford University, Yale School of Management, backs up using Mozy Pro. It saves you time and costs you up to 80% less than other solutions, giving a peace of mind and eliminating the hassle of backing up your data. Now, I can tell you all these testimonials from people. I can tell you myself, I've lost data and I've brought it back using Mozy Pro. Don't take my word for it. Try it yourself. I'm going to give you 15% off that code podcast15. All you have to do is call 877-669-9776. That's 877-669-9776. Go to mozypro.com, use the code podcast15 and save yourself 15% off. Backup plans are affordable, and you know it's better than the alternative, which is bankruptcy. So back it up now, back it up often, back it up off-site with a program like Mozy Pro, and get it now. Once again, podcast15 will get you 15% off.
Geek Smack.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the second half of Geekazine Geek Smack. This is the show where we smack the geek out of your brain and smack the geek out of your lightsaber and smack the geek. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeffrey Powers. My Twitter handle is right there. Geekazine is the name of that. Go over to geekazine.com to check out all the show notes. We're on the geek side, so anything geeky, anything weird, we've got in here. And we're going to start over at device.com. Device is our favorite, one of our favorite sites here. And basically, here's a picture of a brain. Here's a picture of an egg. No, there's no egg there. There's just a brain. Ladies and gentlemen, they have an article talking about eating less and how it's good for the brain. There's a study out there that says that if you enjoy... Okay, why did that do that? I don't know. I'm having some small little difficulties with my video thing. but that's okay. It says that what happens is... Anyway, so what happens is that they tested out some mice on mice, and they found that if they had them diet of 30% less, that it helps the brain. And they really didn't say how it helps the brain, if it's helping the mental capacity, if it's just going to make it juicier and healthier or whatnot. But the big thing is that they found that this thing called CREB1, it's a molecule that activates the genes linked into longevity and proper functioning. So I'm assuming that if you diet more, things like I don't know if Alzheimer's or anything like that could be affected, but you might find that your motor skills are a little bit better. So if you're kind of really jittery, you're like super proficient in typing, all of a sudden you can't figure out where the S's and where the P's are. Maybe you should start dieting. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting research study, and it was put out by the Rome Catholic University of Sacred Heart. So if you want to read more on that, go over to device.com and find out how your brain can get better by simply eating right or dieting and eating less. So I know I got to eat less anyway. Speaking of eating, did you like the t-shirt? Look at that right there. Let's see if we can zoom in on that t-shirt here. Where's my zoom in? There we go. It's the Nom t-shirt. It's friends over at LOL Shirts decided to send me some t-shirts. So we're going to put up a link for LOL Shirts. Thank you very much. I've got a few of them. Last week I had the one that said, "That's what Siri said," which is a great shirt. And of course this one, Nom, which is the android eating the apple. So check that out over at lolshirts.com. Of course, go over to geekazine.com if you want to find out more about that. All right, let's head over to methodshop.com. My friend John had posted this one. And basically, I'm going to talk like this. That's not going to work. Let's do this. Okay. There we go. All right, the iPhone. This is a picture of Apple's first official phone. They had the idea 25 years ago, and in 1983, Harmut Esslinger, who made the Apple computer, came up with the iPhone tablet prototype. So, and of course, they were coming out, I think that's when they were coming out with, something's wrong with this. I just loaded some new drivers, so maybe that's what's going on. But anyway, the whole point is that it didn't, with the, I think with the Newton and the Lisa, they were finding that expensive devices was not the way to go. So I think they just ended up scrapping it. Probably cost way too much to produce. So, but think of that. If we would have had that phone 25 years ago, that would have been cool. Methodshop.com for more stuff there. I got a dead link here. I'm not sure why it came up to apple.com/iPhone. What article did I have after that? If you're a gadget geek, or no, body armor, that's right. Over at device.com, why didn't that show up? Interesting. Well, we're going to do this. I'm going to quickly load this. Over at device.com, we got two articles over at device.com. The first one is actually a pretty cool thing. You think this might be for like motorcyclists, but apparently it comes with some really cool extra devices like a taser and stuff like that. So this is for like a police officer, maybe a biking police officer. They're toying the idea that Batman should have this, and basically it's got a little attachment to put your iPhone on, so you can actually go around and use your iPhone like that. So that's kind of cool. Probably have a way to actually have the headphones so you could have earpiece in, or maybe it's running off of Bluetooth or something like that. So you can check that out over at device.com. Apparently I put two links together, which I don't normally try to do, but I did it anyway, and I'm thankful for that because the link didn't work too well. The other article over on device.com talks about Thunderbolt ports. Now, us on Mac ends of things have been using Thunderbolt ports for a while. I like my Thunderbolt port. I can't wait for them to add more stuff to the Thunderbolt port. But I've been waiting. Now, it looks like the PCs are going to be getting Thunderbolt ports. Now, Thunderbolt was different. The name of the technology was developed by Intel. It's basically, they called it Light Peak technology, but then they created it and called it Thunderbolt, which sounds a little bit better. It's a little bit cooler. Intel wants to speed up the standardization of Thunderbolt, so they said we're going to jump it into PCs. Wouldn't be surprised, these Ultrabooks that you might be hearing about. If you haven't heard about Ultrabooks are supposed to compete with MacBook Airs in the thin Ultrabook. They got a new processor coming out that's supposed to be super wafer thin, and it's going to be in these Ultrabooks. I'm assuming that Thunderbolt ports will be in these Ultrabooks as well, and of course Intel's going to be really pushing the Thunderbolt port because it's faster than FireWire, it's faster than eSATA, and you can get a lot of data across. Like I said, I love it. When I can hook something up to my Thunderbolt port, I will. And of course, my FireWires and my USB ports on the Mac also work really, really well. So, but if you want to check out more on that, go over to device.com. All right, we got a couple more articles here. We're going to start here. Hopefully this will stick around. We won't have too much flashing here. A hacker had built what's called a pointless data network. He used a Lego train set. This is for all you Lego geeks out there, of course. He used he had certain points where SSD drives and fiber networks where basically the train moved around and moved the data around with it. So it's pretty cool. I think they have the source over at Hackaday, so you can check that out. But of course, we got this over at Engadget.com. Check that out over at Engadget.com. I saw an article today. I really didn't like the article. I didn't like this place, but I like the idea. It's for all you bunny geeks out there. If you like rabbits and you're in Pasadena, California, why don't you go to the Bunny Museum? The most bunnies in the world. That's what they say. I don't know. I just thought it really geeky. So all you bunny geeks out there, ladies and gentlemen, that's where you go, is the Bunny Museum. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is it for the second half of Geek Smack. We're going to get you in the third half. Of course, first of all, we've got this word from our friends, and we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can always get the audio version of Geek Smack and every other Geekazine show, including Day in Tech History. And yes, we will be doing the audio version of iPad 365, and you'll be able to get it on Stitcher. Smart radio for your smart mobile device, whether it be Apple, Android, whether it be WebOS, whether it be BlackBerry. You can download this great application and you can listen to all your audio shows. And the best part is it's one after the other. So you're listening to one podcast, and when it's done, it goes to the next podcast. It goes to the next podcast, and that goes to the next podcast. Can't go wrong there. And the best part is you download the software through the link I'm going to tell you in a second, and you could win yourself $100 by going over to Stitcher.com/geek. Stitcher.com/geek. You could win yourself $100 by simply downloading free software for your mobile device. That's Stitcher, internet radio for your mobile device. All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally today we're going to talk about something that happened over the last week, a thing called SOPA. SOPA is called Stop Online Piracy Act, and you might have heard about this because it's the biggest issue is it's trampling over your rights as a U.S. citizen. Here's the basic gist of things. If they find anything on a website that could be pirated or anything like that, SOPA would actually be able to shut down your website like that. A lot of people don't like it. I personally don't like it. I think it's a bill that needs to be really, really figured out and amended a lot better than what it is right now. But ladies and gentlemen, it is not a bill to support. Anybody should support. But apparently there are some companies that do support it. One of the companies that did support it for a very little while was GoDaddy.com. Now, you probably heard about the flack. And of course, GoDaddy's always been in the news, and they've always had their negative press on them. Of course, 6 months ago, Bob Parsons did a video on how he shot an elephant in the wild, and that was actually perfectly fine. I'm not going to get into all the politics on that, but that caused an uproar. Now this is causing an uproar because on Thursday, GoDaddy basically said that we support the SOPA Act. And everybody goes, wait a minute, well, you do? And so a lot of people were really upset with it to the point where they started moving their domains off of GoDaddy to other people. They moved their hosting off of GoDaddy to other people. And that's all well and good. For me, it's a little bit tougher. I've got several domains and several hosting plans. If I was to actually make a full migration of all my websites over from GoDaddy to somewhere else, you're talking like $800 to $1,000. Now, in a 24-hour period, GoDaddy recanted their statement and said, no, we do not support SOPA. We didn't realize how, I guess somebody just didn't read it, is what happened. And they didn't see the problems that something like this would cause. Well, it does cause a lot of problems, and I'm glad that they recanted it, but there's still a lot of people that are jumping ship from GoDaddy because of it. They even put up a website called BuyDaddy, which basically you can find out which websites are still on GoDaddy.com servers, or their domains are, I think it's the domains are on GoDaddy, and one of them is WordPress. Another one is Wikipedia. Wikipedia put out an article saying that they were going to get off of GoDaddy as well. Here's my thoughts, especially, and I'm going to tell you first off, straight up, GoDaddy does sponsor some of Geekazine's stuff. In fact, we're going out to CES, and GoDaddy is going to be a major sponsor of that. This does not affect that. These are two separate things. But I'm going to tell you something. I've had my problems with GoDaddy. My first year of hosting, I had major problems. Every time you would load up the website, you would get an internal 500 error. And it happened again and again and again. And I went back to them, and I said, fix it. And they said, well, it's really, they finally did fix it, and they made right what was once wrong. But I'll tell you, like I said, I've had problems with GoDaddy. I stuck with them because I wanted to stick with one person, and so far I haven't had too many problems. Earlier in the week, I had a problem where I actually deleted half of Geekazine's pictures on the website. Just a mistake. I was deleting caches, and I actually accidentally deleted the wrong folder. Because of that, I would have had to spend a lot of time trying to restore those files. Only took me about an hour using GoDaddy's FTP restore. You hit the history, and you say, I want that folder back, and I want that folder back, and I want that folder back, and it restores it. Now, of course, if you have a lot of files that you want to have restored, you might want to restore them individually, which is what I did, small amounts at a time. But I restored all that folder, and within 2 hours, Geekazine.com was back up and running. So there's a lot of good things that GoDaddy has, and I am not going to jump ship. Even if I only had one domain and one hosting plan on GoDaddy, I wasn't going to jump ship anyway. But now that I have over $1,000 worth of merchandise on GoDaddy, I'm going to back it up. I'm going to make sure that, if for some reason tomorrow GoDaddy goes completely down, I have a backup of everything. And you might want to do that too. It doesn't matter what domain you're on. It doesn't matter what hosting plan you use. It doesn't matter what system you use. You should back it up every single time. And of course, we'll just watch and see what happens with GoDaddy. Like I said, I see the problems. They've corrected the problems. And in fact, there's a nice little audio over at Geek News Central. Todd Cochran talked about it. He got the CEO on the phone and said, hey, you should talk about what you just did, because a lot of people thought that flip-flop was just as bad as announcing that you were with SOPA. So check that out. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check that all out and go from there. What do you think? Do you like the idea? Do you not like the idea? Did you jump ship from GoDaddy? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine. Of course, email me, geekazine@gmail.com. And then, of course, the hotline is 608-205-4378. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's the show for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. Like I said, next week we will have a show. The following week we will be at the Consumer Electronics Show, so no show there. But we'll have a lot of great content. We'll have the live stream going. We'll have the back channel stream going. You'll have a lot of great content to catch. So, and until then, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Check out iPad 365. Check out the Day in Tech History over at dayintechhistory.com. And check out Geekazine over at geekazine.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening to the audio show for those of you who did. And we will see you next time on Geek Smack, where we'll smack some more geek out of all your geeky stuff. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.